Hey, hi, hello, good evening. Uh, Congrats on making it to the middle of the week. As always, halfway there, living on a prayer, right? It's all downhill from here, right? In a positive way, at least, right? It's like, man, it's 2 more days. Well, if you're doing like the normal work week / school week, but in case like how we are, you might be in the middle of your week. We're in the middle of the career here in Grid 2019. Good evening to you too. Yeah. Hello, Molecular Shadow Fox. Good to see you as always. Yeah, I don't have much to say about my week except, again, I've got like a big weekend coming up, so this will actually be the last stream of the week, right? We'll just wrap things up by playing some Grid 2019. Let's get back in here. Sign into RaceNet as usual. Honestly, this game has like an interesting thing where if you like immediately alt-tab out of it, like when you set it to start on Steam, you can still get it to like run in the pseudo background style thing, and you still have like the music and stuff playing. So that's what I've been doing. That's why we're always at the start screen, because once I click into it, it starts doing that thing where it'll mute itself if you have focus out. So yeah. Don't be overdoing things. Yeah. I figured, just maybe ease up a little bit since I'll be doing things this weekend. Alright. Last we left off, we were going through Tuner series, and we got like 3 more. And then the finale here. Yeah, that's going to be pretty lengthy. 2 full race rounds, and then 2 time attacks, which are comparatively shorter. So I guess on average it makes an average length, and then we'll get right into GT. Gonna be finding those Dragon Balls. Nah, I kid. Boy, I remember when that first came out. It's like, I think, what was that? That was this series that they made like against Akira Toriyama's wishes, and everyone likes to pretend that never happened. And then much later, they finally came back with like a proper sequel series helmed by Toriyama himself. It's like a double-edged sword, right? It's like this franchise is gonna keep continuing with the creator's intent, but it's like a shadow the creator won't ever escape, right? Even if they want to try to go on to new things, they're going to be known as the person who did Dragon Ball. It's got to be restrictive in a way. It's like if you get famous for like a particular catchphrase, right? You're just like walking down the street and everyone's going to be going like, oh yeah, catchphrase! Right? To them, it's like this one-time thing, but to them, man, they've heard it so many times, and whew, can wear on them. But you just gotta keep a smile, because they're super excited for it. Or don't. You can also go, hey, maybe dial it back, but doesn't always work, sadly. A bit like Steven Hellenberg got screwed over by Nickelodeon. Don't think I've heard of this. What did he become kind of like inexorably linked to? I'm guessing he must have been like a voice actor and just got tied to like a certain character archetype, or just a character, or something like that. The SpongeBob. Oh god. You know what? Yeah, absolutely. I can see that now. Honestly, I'm shocked that series is still going, but yeah, whew. No, yes, absolutely, man. Just imagine if he wants to move on, but nah. Just gotta keep cranking out SpongeBob episodes. because, you know, even if he does walk away, network's probably gonna try to put someone else in there, and well, that rarely goes well. Oof. Yeah.
Good start. Hold the lead.
Nickelodeon may as well be called the SpongeBob channel. I gotta admit, it's been a while since I watched, like, any Nickelodeon cartoon shows, but yeah. It's a long runner, and imagine at this point it's got serious immunity. It's probably gonna take, like, a massive scandal of some sort to cause it to end. Like, even I'm not optimistic enough to think that, you know, extraneous circumstances would have the series end, right? Even if, in some way or another, Hellenberg was unable to continue with producing SpongeBob, they'll get someone else to do it. Early SpongeBob, great. Sad it went downhill fast. Sounds like a lot of TV series, or at least a lot of series that people talk about, right? It's like Simpsons, people say that also. Family Guy, they also say it about that. SNL, well, I guess that sort of varies. 90s was peak Nicktoons for me. Yeah, that was like the period at which I watched a lot of Nickelodeon cartoons as well. That was like period of Real Monsters, Rugrats, Angry Beavers, Rocco. Was Doug a part of that too? I forget when Doug moved over to Disney, but yeah, there's also Doug. And I know this isn't Nicktoons, but Nickelodeon had like a pretty decent live-action suite as well. Right, back before they made all kid comms all the time. I remember, was it All That? It was kind of like the kid variety show, and Wild and Crazy Kids was kind of like their physical challenge, outdoorsy type of show. And who can forget Guts? Man, I love that one so much. It was like an extreme version of Double Dare, all hardcore and stuff, and that was pretty cool. The classic Klasky Supo cartoons. I've not heard of that. I have to look that up now. Yeah, exactly. Real Monsters, Rugrats, Doug, Rocco's Modern Life. Ah, Hey Arnold. Yeah, that's the one I forgot. Wild Thornberries as well. Basically, a lot of people who were featured in Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl. Or, you know, the other Nick crossover games. I know they did, like, a kart racer game as well. I'm sure they did other stuff. I forget, which decade was Danny Phantom? Was that 90s, or was that, like, 2000s? That one was really pretty decent. Oh, Odd Parents. Was that 90s or 2000s? I get honest, this far out, I don't remember. it all kind of blends together, but you know, those were pretty cool shows as well. Oh, and Jimmy Neutron. Yeah, that was like pretty decent. Ren and Stimpy, I wanted to like it, but it felt like it kind of leaned too far into like the gross out angle, and not really a fan of that kind of humor. Even as a kid, I was not a fan of it. Oh, and of course, I loved Kenan and Kel. Ah, man. Yes, that one was great, too. 2000s, I think. Okay. Yeah. Alright, yeah, 90s, 2000s. No, that was where I enjoyed it. Oh, Invader Zim. Yeah. Blessed I forget. Better mention Invader Zim. Right, don't anyone going, how could you forget Invader Zim? Don't worry, I didn't forget Invader Zim, but Invader Zim was like pretty darn good too. Actually, I was actually introduced to that show by like my cousins. They're telling me, man, you watch Invader Zim? This show's hilarious. And then they showed me a couple episodes, and I was like, yeah, you know what? That's great. It's actually pretty great. Yeah, you can't forget the mighty Zim and the ever faithful assistant Gurr. Angry Beavers was one of my all-time faves. Ooh. I know the name. I don't think that was like a show I tuned into too much. Man, all this talk of Nick makes me remember I have not played Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 2 yet. I think I was just like waiting for it to go on sale, but you know, it's like that might be a while until it gets to like a point at which I can justify picking it up. Who can forget the almighty tallest saying of Gur, "It's not stupid, it's advanced." Just loops back around, right? Just so far into one direction, it goes back to being brilliant. Okay, this is like a pretty long race. I already see up there, target lap time is 2 minutes 40 seconds. I can only imagine this track is going to be like a 3-lapper, maybe even 2. We'll see. We're not even done yet. Hey, look, we ran through the Asian section of this area. How appropriate, considering Lunar New Year is about to come up soon. I remember watching a lot of The World According to Clarissa, too. Oh, yeah! Yeah, there are other live-action stuff where, you know, if it wasn't like the physical challenge shows, they actually did, like, kid dramas. I remember that, right? There's, like, you know, kids doing heroic stuff, right? There was... Well, I guess Clarissa wasn't a drama. That was actually a comedy. But, yeah, there was that. Salute Your Shorts. I think Alex Mack was also one of them. And probably a couple more I'm forgetting at the moment. That was a hell of a qualifier. Oh yeah, 2 laps. Okay, good. That was the qualifying lap, right? I'm not imagining things that didn't actually like do a lap. Ah, here we go.
View of the Pacific Ocean. Here we are in Sanford. All right, we'll get back to that shortly because it's time to get started.
Oh gee, cat dog. Oh yeah, cripes. How could I forget that? Honestly, when you think about it, a lot of the cartoons for that era were quite surreal, right? Like, look at Cat Dog. It's just like, you know, 2 pets kind of joined together, and you know, double-ended head, and you know, it's something that would absolutely not work in a realistic setting, but kind of rolled with it because it was so out there. And, you know, they had other shows like, I guess, Cow and Chicken. I know that was Cartoon Network, but that was also similarly pretty surreal when you think about it. And, yeah, I guess loop back around. It's like, Real Monsters kind of deals with monsters, and Invader Zim. It's just less surreal and just more deranged. That comic series was fun too, Kablam! Fortunately, that was not one of the shows I watched, but I believe it. I guess I should make an obligatory mention of Avatar, even though I know that's like a 2000 series, I believe, but yeah, that was a pretty freaking good series. You know, it's good when like even long after the original series concluded, they're still, you know, making projects and putting the characters and stuff and everything for it. Like, yeah. That and the sequel series, Korra. Live action segments and animated stuff too. Oh yeah. I like a show that can like effectively blend several different mediums together. I remember at the time they showed a lot of that Are You Afraid of the Dark? Oh yeah. I remember the name at least. That was like an anthology series, right? Where everyone kind of gathered around a campfire, or like in some sort of dark place, and they just told like these Goosebumps style stories. I would not be surprised if that series was heavily inspired by Goosebumps. Guess another way to put it would be like a kid-friendly version of X-Files. Yeah. Gotta love a good framing device. Was about to say it was like Goosebumps, yeah. Sort of book that would probably, you know, maybe less scary and more just like weird and freaky. But, you know, that's usually enough for a kid. Sorry, that just reminded me of that one meme video that's semi-popular, where was it Jonathan Frakes from that one show just tells you you're wrong for like what 47 seconds, or he just asks like random questions. And I remember like the counter video to that where Jonathan Frakes tells you you're correct for, what was it, like 30 seconds? That was pretty funny. Reminds me of a show I used to watch on Friday called Round the Twist about a haunted lighthouse. Yeah, always the shows with like the overarching mystery, like, what could be the answer behind that? Like, the driving question. That's always fun. Because at the very least, it, you know, gives you a very clear goal for all the cast to work towards. At least for a while. You know, after a certain point, you either gotta answer it, and then you gotta try to maintain their interest somehow after the fact. Is that the guy who did the Truth or Fiction show? If I remember correctly, yeah, it was like the show where it would tell like 5-ish stories, but one of them would inevitably be fake, and the others would be, you know, true for a loose definition of true. It was an Australian show. It was really fun. I think there's some episodes on YouTube. I might look that up then. At least read a summary of it. It'll be another rabbit hole for me to fall into. Alright. Sepang International Circuit, and we're going for 3 laps. Cool. We're driving at dusk as well. Dusk, just like my heart. Nah, I kid.
Kristen, tell me something about the Sepang circuit. What have our drivers got in store today for this Grid World Series race?
Nah, just let me qualify, man. I got places I need to be. I got like 4-ish career tracks to hit up here. Ah, good. Lap time's a minute. This is gonna be a quick one. I did say the lap limit was 4, right? We're gonna be on this for 4 laps. As I've gotten older, I find myself watching game shows. I think my peak game show watching period was like around middle school. That was like around the time when Who Wants to Be a Millionaire kind of took hold of the US, and then they kind of proceeded to drive it right into the ground. What kind of game shows are you watching at the moment? I think for me, always the fallbacks are always like Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy, because that's what my parents always liked to watch when I was growing up. Like whenever, you know, the hour came around and the news was all done, we'd switch channels and just watch those shows. Kind of funny to look back on it. You like realize Wheel of Fortune is really just like a glorified version of Hangman, and Jeopardy, you know, the way they cut it, they make it look all fast-paced and stuff, but if you like see any of the behind-the-scenes videos, you realize, it's a lot more downtime than you think there is, right? The way they cut it just makes it look like they're kind of just bouncing, right? They're just moving from question to question, but sometimes they're not, right? Especially when they go, oh yeah, we got to get our judges to look up on that. And what they don't show is like the several minutes of judges looking up stuff to make sure the answer is technically correct. Yeah, it was fun. We have one called Tipping Point. It's like that arcade game you put coins in. It has those shelves that slide back and forth. Trying to think. Is it like the coin pusher thing where like you stick in the coin and it like potentially pushes things into a giant pit, and then you get like tickets, points / prizes depending on what drops in there? Or am I thinking of something else? Yeah, okay. Yeah, I can see how they would be able to spin a game out of that. That's it. Yeah. Man, that's probably got some like sky-high production values. I can only imagine like a life-size version of that kind of pusher machine. But you could definitely put a lot of flash into that sort of set. Yeah. Actually, it reminds me of this game show. At least I see in the US. I'm not sure if it's anywhere else, but I think it's called The Wall. Basically like a glorified version of that Plinko game that used to be on Price is Right, also based off of Pachinko and stuff, but I think I said this on the stream like maybe a really long time ago. God, that show, I dislike it so much. Feels like the natural endpoint of the way they make game shows, all dramatic, and you got like the contestants with this big sob stories about, you know, how they need this money for great cause and all that. It's got all the things that I hate about like the modern game show. Like they take padding up to like an unreasonable degree. But before we get to that, let's talk about how that game works. I'm sure they pick the thickest folk they can find to take part. Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, the way it works is like, you know, you're answering questions and stuff, right? Well, the contestants come on like a team of 2, right? One of them's on stage and they're like, you know, doing the on-stage stuff, while another one is kind of sequestered off to a soundproof room somewhere in the back. And
Listen up. Hold the lead.
see, I'm trying Trying to think. Yeah, the way it works is I think the person on stage has like a bunch of balls. You know, they can choose to like which slot they can drop from, and then the person like in the soundproof booth, I think has to answer questions. Right? It's like, you know, standard multiple choice trivia questions popularized by Millionaire. And, you know, depending on whether they get right or wrong, you know, whatever the balls fall into, you get that much money or you lose that much money. For some reason, right, mid-game, they'll just have like an automatic money loss round where you can't do anything except just drop balls that will lose you money wherever they land, which really sucks because it's like means like even if your partner's like the most cracked person at trivia and gets every question right, you could see your like entire score get wiped out because of the forced luck around. And then at the end, or like some partway through the game, the person in the soundproof booth, they have to make a decision, right, at like some sort of checkpoint, whether to either like lock in the amount of money they have at that point, or like, you know, put trust in their partner on stage to go all the way. Which the part that sucks about that is that the person in the soundproof booth, they have like no way. They are not informed at all about the state of things outside of the booth, so they're pretty much going through this blind. So it's essentially a coin flip, which means on the flip side, where you like you know, you have the most cracked trivia partner and the luckiest drops ever, but your partner gets cold feet and you might end up walking away with like less money than you would have, right? Also renders the second half of the game entirely superfluous because it's like, well, what's the point, right? If they decide to cash out halfway through, why bother with the other half? Yeah, it's like so many factors of luck. Yeah, the old blind luck and odds working against you. I feel like there's like way too much luck, right? Even with Millionaire, right? Even if like, you know, the questions are random, it's still a trivia contest in the end. You still your progress through the ladder will be largely dependent on whether you can answer the questions correctly or not, and can utilize lifelines effectively or not, right? You still have a degree of control. It feels like in the wall you have like almost no control, and a lot of things just working against you for no reason at all. But the part I hate the most, the part that really grinds my gears, as it were, is the end of the game, where they finally, you know, reunite the two people. Right, and the way it usually goes is, you know, they have the person who was in the booth has to tell the person on stage whether they decided to cash out halfway through or not. But for some unfathomable reason, they have to go through these like massively dramatic, extra long speeches. They're like, "Oh man, we've been through so much, and I know this money will be life-changing, and we could absolutely use it to like help so many people out and ourselves, and we could get ourselves that new house we always wanted, and I love you so much." And it continues for what feels like forever until they finally say, I managed to get like, I don't know, $200,000, and then the other person has to go like, yeah, oh man, I was like nail biting my way through, and I was nerve-wracking, but I had my faith in you the whole time because I know our love is stronger than any material in the whole universe. And again, continues for like a few minutes until they finally say, and also I did not sign the contract, or I did sign the contract. A scene that should take maybe 30 seconds at worst, padded it out unreasonably for no reason. Like, I know modern game shows tend to have like, you know, big criticisms of massive amounts of padding. This feels like the natural extreme of it, where, you know, any other game show, they'd be like, yes, you got $200,000 also, but luckily for you, your partner signed a contract, so you actually got like 500,000. Woo! No, they don't do that. It feels. I'd love to go on the couples version of Millionaire with My Boyfriend. That'd be pretty fun. Yeah, everyone has to have some sort of sob story. Yeah, this feels just like the natural extreme of it, where it's just completely unreasonable. I don't know. It's one of the few game shows that actually, like, irritate me anytime I watch it, because it's like an hour I could more effectively spend doing almost anything else. Although it probably seems hypocritical, because I was like super into Deal or No Deal when it was a big deal. And that's another show where it was like super mega massively padded out. And also, you know, massively luck-based.
Good start, hold the lead.
But even then, you feel like you had like some degree of control, right? Like, depending on what dollar values were remaining in play, you could calculate the risks and decide to either cash out or move on. But yeah, I remember, like, there was a YouTube video, like a super old YouTube video, where they went through like a whole run of Deal or No Deal, but with all the padding cut out. It was only like maybe 5 minutes long, right? It was just like a super cut of contestant going, alright, I pick case number 5, and you know, they open the case number 5, and then contestant goes, I'll pick case number 22, and then they open case number 22, and then they cut to like, oh yeah, the banker's offering you like $54,000, and then cut to customer going, I turned it down, I accept it. Right, that cut it all down. It was like 5 minutes.
Last lap, so
like, man,
hold the lead through to the end now.
could you imagine? That could get so many more contestants through. I imagine that would probably cost the channel so much more money. I don't know. I feel like even in Deal or No Deal, it didn't feel as egregious as it did in The Wall. Or maybe I just, like, my threshold for BS just finally ran out with The Wall. But yeah, all that to say, I don't like The Wall. I hate that show. I wish it, you know, they would stop bringing it back. We used to have one here where if you lost, they'd rub salt in the wounds and say, come out, look at what you could have won, as a way to kick them when they're down. I'll see. I feel like they kind of talk about it differently in the game shows I watch, where they go, it's like, let's see what would have happened. Like, taking Deal or No Deal for example, they'll have like the contestant just pick a case for funsies, and, you know, to just open it just to see what would have happened. And I feel like, you know, it's a 50-50 shot of either case being a bust or case actually would have been beneficial for them, but, you know, never framed it as like, oh yeah, man, you could have gone so much farther, man. or like in Millionaire, where, you know, if the contestant decides to walk away, and the host goes, you know what, just for fun, pick an answer, take a guess. What would you have guessed if you decided to go on? Now pick an answer. And then, you know, the host will respond, oh man, you would have been able to go on, or, oh, it's a good thing you stopped when you did. I hate those long pauses they do before opening the boxes. Yeah, looking back. I mean, there are times where it makes sense, and then there are times where it doesn't. Alright, when you're like at the end of the game and you really gotta milk that tension for all it's worth, okay, sure. But before then, it's like, I don't know. You could stand to speed it up a little bit. You see the faces on some losers in the team, you can just see, oh, wait till we get home. Oh, man. Yes, depends on the nature of the game. Right, if it's something like The Wall, you just be like, well, it is what it is, right? I guess we just got screwed over in the end. Not much you can do there. You know what? Thinking back, I think this is why maybe shows like Millionaire sit better with me, because they give the contestant a lot more control, right? It's like in Millionaire, you pretty much walk away whenever you want, right? Doesn't matter which question you're at. You can choose right there and then, yep, I'm gonna stop here. I'm just gonna cash out. I'm gonna take the money and go. Of course, the incentive to stay on is that, you know, the potential prize you could get for getting it right keeps going up higher and higher and higher, right? Exponentially so, right? It's like, yeah, $50,000, that's a lot of money, but could you imagine getting like 100,000? That's like a lot of money, and also a lot more money. Yeah, it gets real hairy when you get like right to the end there. You're like sitting on a pot of 500,000, but if you win, you get $1 million, and of course, all the glory. On the flip side, I feel like that's like the usually the breaking point, right? Because, you know, $500,000 is nothing to sneeze at. So if you got that much, well, if you don't know the answer to the question, just go, right? Just walk away. Don't do anything foolish. Don't lose out. I do like having a go at the questions on Millionaire. Yeah, it's really easy for the audience too to kind of get in there to participate, right? With the way everything is like multiple choice and you got your 3 lifelines to help you out. It does really give you the feeling, man, I could make it too if I was able to get on there. I know I felt like that. Yeah. At least in the US, there was like only one guy who bombed out the $500,000 question. I remember that part. It was like, I didn't see it live, but I watched a YouTube video after the fact, and the way they let you know you done fucked up, just ooh. Like even Regis Philbin, when that guy screwed up questions, like, yeah, that is not the final answer, and you just lost a lot of money. And then they played that you got the question wrong theme, but it was in the minor key, so it sounded even so much more worse. Right? It really gave you that feeling, man, that guy done fucked up. Holy cow. You could tell the absolute heartbreak he had too. It just went for, right? It was like all or nothing, and well, he didn't exactly walk away with nothing, but way less than what he could have had if he just like, yeah, I'm gonna walk.
How are you feeling about this one?
Look, I feel like it's taken the...
Okay, sorry.
We had a huge thing here with Millionaire not long after it started. This guy cheated his way to $1 million, ended up in jail. Oh my god. Actually, I think that story actually made it overseas. It was like they realized that the guy was able to like figure out the answers by someone who was just like coughing in the audience, right? His accomplice was coughing in the audience, and they put 2 and 2 together, and yeah, he ended up losing it all. Well, like, oh man, was crafty. I've seen folks go home with nothing because they didn't know the easy starter questions. Oh my god. We had something like that too. That was also something I watched on YouTube, but it was like the contestant came on and was like, "Oh man, I was so excited for this. I didn't get any sleep last night." And then, you know, they started. I think they actually bombed out on like the first or second question, which, you know, then became a cautionary tale of, hey, maybe you get some sleep so that way you'll be in tip-top shape when you got to do your big event. That other contestant was coughing. Yeah. Okay. Glad I remembered it correctly. If I remember correctly, I think Disney World in Florida actually had like a Millionaire attraction. Or somewhere in Florida, I think had like a Millionaire attraction for a while there. Pretty much played out like a proper game of Millionaire, except, you know, instead of $1 million, I think you got like 1 million points that you could redeem for, you know, park items. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that doesn't exist anymore because Millionaire is kind of far past its heyday. still exists, shockingly enough, but it's a daytime game show, right? Like along the lines of The Price is Right, let's make a deal. That's where we're at with it. For those hardcore fans, there's the game. Oh yeah. I actually see people stream Who Wants to Be a Millionaire PC game occasionally, because it's on Steam, shockingly enough. Yeah, like they did a PS1 game for The Weakest Link. Oh my god. Forgot about Weakest Link. Like the show where they gotta like do rapid fire trivia relay and you know, without like communicating, or without being able to like directly communicate with the others. You gotta somehow bank enough money each round to kind of, you know, go home with the most you could. Yeah, I think that one was like most notable because of the host, who's just like the most scathing person. Well, one of the more scathing folks you could see, you'd see around anywhere. Like, I remember correctly, the US version of Weakest Link actually just brought over the host from the UK version because, you know, she was that iconic, as you might put it. For the life of me, I can't remember what her name was. Anne Robinson, yes, the Queen of Mean, absolutely. Yeah. Just absolutely able to dish it out like no one's business. Whew. And part of the reason why that show is remembered. Like, I remember, right, when they made Weakest Link in US syndicated and swapped out the host, the new guy, you know, he was alright, but he wasn't Anne Robinson. Like an austere headmistress at a boarding school. Yeah, that's exactly the vibe I would put with her. I guess it was like around that time period where that sorts of really, really jerkish folks were just like super popular. Because I remember, I think House was on at the same time too, and you know, that show's really famous for House just being like an absolute jerk, for lack of a better word. So I remember the Mentalist lead character there, absolute bunghole. And similar shows like that. Older shows are a fun watch a second time, like Supermarket Sweep. Oh my god, Supermarket Sweep. One relative I used to visit always seemed to have that on TV when we would come visit them. Right, they would just like have the TV on and on the game show channel, or on the channel where game shows would be playing. It was like Supermarket Sweep and Shop Till You Drop. That was the other one I remember. Where they would be in like a pseudo mall, and they also have like mini games based on shopping on the mall. But yeah, Supermarket Sweep. I remember that format very well. Also, kind of exciting. I don't know. To kid me, I guess that was exciting somehow. It was like a supermarket version of a scavenger hunt. Yeah, you know, I remember like the end game was just going through the supermarket, not only finding the big priced items, but also finding those special ticket items that would give you a massive like score bonus, as it were. Go wild in the aisles, yeah. Oh yeah, and then the trivia round was also unique, right? Because instead of like competing for points, you were just like competing for time on the clock, like time you would get to roam the supermarket to try to get as much stuff as you could. Aw, jeez. That was a huge thing to get a real supermarket sweep, or trolley dash as we call them here. Ah, yeah. Yeah, the meta was always find the smallest, most expensive items you could to stick them in a cart, while looking for the big items that would get you the score bonuses or the cash bonus. Oh yeah, grab a load of frozen turkeys and CDs and stuff and booze. Yeah, CDs would definitely get you up there. And the turkeys as well. And alcohol for that matter, because alcohol, it's never cheap, but certainly plentiful. With how things are at the moment, I'd love a real supermarket dash to keep my cupboards stocked for a while. Wouldn't that be nice? Actually reminds me, I actually did win, like, a drawing for a shopping spree at a supermarket, like, when I was a kid. I remember, because, you know, it was like the usual grocery store that my parents and I would go to get our stuff, and we saw they had, like, a table out. Like, hey, you could win a picnic basket or something like that, and we all put our names in there. And then, you know, they called us and they're like, hey, is this person, right, Azure Gale, they won the drawing. And it was like, whoa. And, you know, when we went there to kind of redeem our prize, as it were, right, it was an informative shopping spree. They didn't give us, like, an actual picnic basket. It was like, hey, yeah, we're gonna give you like a big gift card, and you can use that to like buy whatever you want, right? And, you know, since I was a kid, I had like some say in what things to buy, but of course we got the other stuff essential for survival, like bread and vegetables and fruit and meats and what have you. But yeah, that was a fun time. Perhaps my most memorable drawing win, for sure. Sounds fun. Yeah, it kind of was. I think the person was actually shocked when, you know, they saw me walk in. I was like a kid. It's like, oh, wow. I didn't think someone so young would actually enter this one. It was like, yeah, well, I mean, it's a picnic basket, right? Like, well, it's not too shocking. Yeah, bulk buy bread, dump it in the freezer. That would be one way to do it.
Hello, Okutama. It's race day, and Kristen and I are on the scene. Okay, hold on, sorry. It looks like things are about to get underway.
What about you? Were there any like memorable drawings you've won? Guess it's understandable if you haven't like done any drawings, because, you know, looking back, there might actually be a front for just like, you know, collecting information, especially these days, where they usually ask for your like email address and like, oh man, just like a vector for spam and stuff. I guess back then, right, you'd have to put down your phone number. And then you have that phone number they can just pawn off to people who would just, like, you know, robocall you and stuff like that. Was in the supermarket yesterday morning at 6:30 a.m. Whoa! Oh man, was it like an emergency of some sort? I actually went out early in the morning today to get milk because I was out of milk. I was like, oh man, I want some milk for breakfast, but I don't have milk, so I'll just run out to the nearby store and get me some milk, and so I did. Thankfully, it's a quick walk away, so not too much of an issue. Only thing I've won is a month's supply of toilet paper. I'm not very lucky with competitions. Oh man. You know what? At least it's something, right? And I can't really say toilet paper is useful, because depending on what kind of toilet paper it is, it might just end up not being useful at all, but yeah. I figured that going early, it's nice and quiet with no crowds. Oh, you know what? Understandable. I get that. Less stress also means, like, less chances of, you know, getting into any altercations, and less noise. Yeah, I get it. It's peaceful, can efficiently do whatever you need to do without being distracted or anything like that, yeah. Good vibes and all that. I get it. I get it. Honestly, I wish I could go to a supermarket early, but like the nearest supermarket is a bit of a drive. That would be nice though. Just go early in the morning, get everything out of the way, and then you can come home and have the rest of the day to do whatever you want. Or, you know, since you're already out, you can go out and about and do whatever you personally want for the rest of the day. That's nice like that. Didn't stop me getting the one trolley with a wonky wheel though. Oh boy. Well, I guess that seems to be a recurring thing no matter where you go, right? There's always that one cart that just has that weird wobbly wheel, right? You try to go straight and the wheel's just going every which direction. You're just taking everything you can to try to keep it going straight. But you actually have to actively steer it to keep it going straight, because if you let it go, it's just gonna, like, veer in one direction or another. Most of it was treats. Oh, yeah. You know what? Again, sometimes you just have that... You just need whatever early morning. Right? You just need it right there and then. And if you got quick access to it, why not? What? Yeah, they crab steer. Never heard it put like that, but yeah. That's one way to put it. 'Cause you know I'm so healthy. Yes, you know what? You do what's best for you, right? I mean, I'm like certainly no paragon of health either. Like any time after a big old holiday, they always discount the candy massively. I'm like, yes, give me all of it. I just go to a nearby store because they always have the candy like half off or even more as time goes on. I just pick up like several bags worth, and that's like my sweets for the next few months. It's great. Had to restock my ramen. You know what? I do that too, actually. I usually buy like 6 packs of those cup noodles, and then I actually get like 2 of them, right? I usually get the two flavors of chicken and shrimp. Because I always like having variety when it comes to, like, you know, similar food types. I like to mix it up. I can't just eat one type of food constantly for a few days, unless I make it myself. That's the exception. If I make the food myself, then I'll gladly eat the same thing over a few days. Right? If I make my own spaghetti, yes, I will gladly eat spaghetti for the next few days. Make myself like a massive omelet. Yep, I'll be having that omelet for the next few days. I guess there's something different about a home-cooked meal. It just hits different, right? Just tastes better. Maybe probably because you know you can make it to your specifications, so you know it's gonna be an absolute banger of a meal. At least you hope it is. They know what they're doing, putting the sweets and chocolate next to the checkouts. Oh yeah, like I actually read it about it in like articles and reports and stuff. Yeah, it's absolutely a strategy they do, right? The last minute pickups where you know they have the various handheld items you can get, and they're just like $1 or so, right? Just little bit of extra money. You know, won't bust your budget too much, just to have that little extra food on the go. And you know, I have to confess, I have picked up that kind of stuff every now and then, right? Because you know it's like, oh man, you know what? I am thirsty, or I am craving some chocolate right now.
Welcome to today's event, and this is gonna be a good one. Kristen, what is...
Right? If you don't have like easy access to a vending machine that can get you stuff for cheaper, well, it's like, well, may as well. Because again, it won't break the bank too overly to get yourself a little soda or candy. Made with love, exactly, yeah. It's just not like a pre-generated mix of ingredients like the pre-packaged meals tend to be. Now and again, I'll pick up a rotisserie chicken. Half the time, I'll just add a bit of salt and eat it out the packet because it's still nice and warm.
Good start. Hold the lead.
My parents love doing that too. Right, if we go to a particular store and they're offering up, like, chicken, and not always rotisserie, it could be like, you know, a prepackaged bag of, like, fried chicken, but they'll usually get that because, you know, you spent the whole day shopping, probably tired out, really don't feel like spending extra time to cook a meal. Just get yourself some hot food right there, and then you just eat it right when you get home, when you put everything away. I guess some of that has kind of passed on to me, because like whenever I go out for a big shopping trip, I'll usually just get like a prepackaged meal from wherever I go, and then I'll just have that for like dinner that night. Because it's like, man, I kind of busted my butt to, you know, make my way out to the store, and then I had to haul all the stuff I got back home. It's like, man, I don't want to think. I just want to open thing, shove food in mouth, and get satiated, right? And sometimes the most effort you want to put in is like, yeah, just I'll just sprinkle some salt on it. Boom, done. Eat it up. Gotta love those quick microwave meals, yeah. Frozen food. It's like one of the things I try to pick up, because, you know, it's just a plan B meal. Just like, man, I don't feel like doing anything tonight. I'll just put some, like, cheese sticks and chicken strips into toaster oven. Wait 10 minutes and then eat hot food. Greasy food too, but hey, it's hot. Microwave meals in the US tend to be pretty amusing because they usually try to make it resemble, like, you know, the big hearty meals that we have over here. So, you know, they'll talk about like Salisbury steak, or, you know, chicken mashed potatoes, or like orange chicken and rice and all that. You know, it looks looks so darn good on the box. Alright, and then you get home, you open it up, and it's like, boy, sure looks a lot different, right? And you cook it, or you microwave it, as it were, and maybe doesn't look quite like what you see on the box, but hey, you know what? It only took you, what, 5 minutes to get it all ready, might as well. It's sustenance one way or another. Cheese and onion pie is a good one for something quick, just 2 minutes in the microwave to heat it up. Ooh. Hungry man meals, yeah. I think we also have like lean cuisine, Marie Callender's, Banquet, Stouffer's, you know, a lot of brands that do the whole frozen foods dealio. Oh, I guess there's Hot Pockets. That's the classic gamer stereotype meal. Man, I remember watching a YouTube video where someone handmade like a Hot Pockets holder that you could stick onto a controller. All for fun, but they actually put a little thought of it, because they had like a little tab on the side. You could like just push the Hot Pocket up, so you didn't have to lean in forward to eat it further, but it was a way for you to just like eat a Hot Pocket without ever letting go of your controller. And like, they did it for funsies, but man, it was a little odd when you sat down to think about it. Good options if you have some hamburger helper in. Oh yeah. It's like the step above the microwave meal, the very quick prep meal where, you know, you got the little baggies and all you have to do is like throw them in a saucepan, and then maybe add water, a handful of extra ingredients, or butter, or whatever else they ask for. Stir, and then let it sit for a while, and then boom, instant meal. Or not instant, but it's like, you know, easily created meal. But a lot of things like that. Not just hamburger helper, but I also have like, I think it's like noodles and rice in sort of like packets. You can just dump them into a pot and then add some water into it. Just let it all boil, and then you get yourself some pasta or rice, and you know, it's all right. Nothing amazing, but you like just add some protein to it, one way or another. Makes for a decent enough meal. That actually reminds me of a product. I remember this because of the jingle they had in the commercial. I think it was called Rice-A-Roni. But I remember it more for the jingle, where it's like Rice-A-Roni, the San Francisco treat. And that one's always stuck with me. Like, I don't even know to this day, like, what its connection to San Francisco is, but it was a catchy thing. Or push the boat out and do a full Sunday roast. The big Sunday meal. I think for me, the biggest we ever got was just like a whole bunch of steaks. I think one of my parents' favorite pastimes was to just buy like either buy a bunch of like you know, raw steak or pork chops, and then they would just like go put them on the grill, right? And then we would have that with like potatoes and maybe mixed vegetables. I came to enjoy those a lot because it was good, right? It was pretty good. Can't go wrong with steak, exactly, right? You know, It's like the one meat you can enjoy in a lot of ways, right? You can have it at any sorts of, well, you can have it like many sorts of varying degrees of rawness, right? You can have it like completely raw if you want, but
You're leading the race.
if you want it like cooked, somewhat cooked, you can do that too. And it's totally okay. You won't get yeah, you won't get hit with some adverse effects. Medium rare with some chunky fries and peppercorn sauce. Ooh, sounds pretty nice. When it comes to like a proper steak dinner, I usually like it with mashed potatoes. If only because that's like usually how I had it growing up. It's like steak and mashed potatoes. That said, if they do offer like fries, then in a restaurant, and that's all they had, I'd be like, you know what? It's still potatoes, right? I'll have it. That's cool. But yeah, if I have a steak these days, I usually go for like medium as well. I don't know. I used to do them well done, but I guess enough people convinced me. I was like, no, man, you can't do it well done. That's like eating shoe leather. Do you like having burnt meat? I'm like, all right.
Last lap,
I'll eat a
so
medium, man.
hold the lead through to the end.
And you know what? Medium's good. It's fine. It's all right. We'd all suffer. Excuse me. We'd all suffer over here if we couldn't have the humble potato. Yes! Potatoes, they're extremely versatile, right? You can boil them, mash them, put them in a stew. Or you could just boil and mash them. Or you could cut them up, fry them. Or you could like cut them up into really thin slices and then fry them. Or you could like cut them up and then like throw some sauce in there. Or you could, you know, cut the potatoes into chunks and then fry that with some onions and other vegetables. Or you get the idea, right? So a lot of ways you can consume a potato, and they're all equally valid. I didn't even cover like hash brown, like hash brown patties and tater tots. Man, that used to be like a popular side item in the school I went to. Like 50% of the time, the cafeteria in my school would offer up tater tots as like one of the sides you could pick up. And I always enjoyed those because, you know, it's like crispy on the outside and then nice and soft on the inside. So they do it well. I don't do my roast potatoes in the oven. Yeah, I always like cooking potatoes like in a pan. If I were to like fry them, I usually do it in a pan. Oh, how could I forget the baked potato? I think if it wasn't mashed potatoes, that's usually what we had with our steak. It was like a baked potato. And with the baked potato, we always have like a cream cheese as well. We didn't do anything special with the cream cheese. We just like cut a block out of it, and that's how we had it, right? Just like get a little bit of cream cheese, get a chunk of baked potato, and that's how we would consume it. It wasn't until much later that I learned that people would also put, you know, sour cream, chives, diced onions, cheese, bacon on a baked potato as well. I think specifically I like went to a steakhouse, and that's how they would serve the baked potatoes. Or they would ask me, all right, so what do you want on it? Do you want like bacon and cheese, or do you want sour cream and chives? I'm like, oh, I guess I'll take cheese and bacon. Cut them in halves, parboil them, then cook them in a chip pan. Bacon bits. Oh man. Oh, wait. Alright, now we're getting into the quick events here. The World Time Attack Challenge, 1 event. And this one, we just gotta win. No ifs, ands, or buts. No leeway here. It's first or nothing. Oh, bacon bits. That was something my parents used to pick up a lot too. We'd always have like a shaker full of bacon bits, and they'll, you know, like the artificially flavored things that kind of sort of look like bacon but really aren't. I used to love it as a kid, but I don't know. I'm not too keen on it anymore. If I want to have like little bits of bacon, I'll just like take a strip of real bacon and just crush it up. That's how I would do bacon.
So now we turn our attention to
Probably better way to do it, right? Because you're having the actual product and not just like a simulacrum of it.
get started.
Was there like a food and you had as a kid that you particularly super duper enjoy? I think for me, in addition to bacon bits, I was really obsessed with a dish my parents would sometimes serve. It was like sausages and rice, and that was the long and short of it, right? It's nothing too special about it. Just like cut up some sausages, mixed it with some rice, and served that to us, and that was a meal. And as a kid, I absolutely loved it for some reason. I guess it was because it was just like pure meat, so I was super enamored by it because, man, of course that would be ultra tasty. And something I still do as a grown-up, even if I just want to, you know, again, like a meal I don't have to think too much about. It's just like, yeah, I'll just cook sausages, cook rice, then put them together. Then again, a lot of things just pair well with rice, right? Just mention any sorts of meat or protein. Doesn't even have to be necessarily meat, just like any sorts of protein will do. So if you just wanted to like put in some tofu, you could do that. If you wanted to crack an egg along with the rest of your stuff, you could do that too. It's pretty much the basis for fried rice, to be honest. I remember watching my cousin do that. He would just like, you know, take the container full of rice out of the fridge, just dump some into a bowl, and crack an egg on top of that. Just like throw all that in the microwave. Man. But again, food is food, right? Sometimes you just want it quick and you just want it easy. And, well, that's a pretty quick way of doing it. My nan used to make some good comfort food, like minced meat, onion gravy, and mashed potato. A bit like a cottage pie, but without the pastry crust. Ooh. Yeah, that sounds pretty good, actually. It's like the thing that kind of ties a good meat and potatoes dish together, right? You get a good gravy going. It's like, it all comes together nicely. Okay, looks like I'm in second. Oh boy. So I just need to be like a little bit faster and I can beat first place here. They are only ahead of me by like 0.4 of a second. Excuse was nice too. Lamb chunks, potatoes, carrots, and thickened up with corn flour. Ooh! That sounds pretty good. One of these days I'm gonna start doing a thing where I'll just like look up a recipe online and see if I can just like make that. At least, you know, help me kind of branch out as far as to tastes and food. As much as I like my spaghetti and chicken soup, sometimes it's nice to have something different, right? Real good as a winter warmer. Oh, I can imagine. Yeah. Alright, hot food is always nice. Oh man, I might actually make it. I might actually beat the lap time here. Haha, let's go! On the last lap, managed to pull it off. Oxtail soup. Pardon my ignorance. Is that, like, made with real oxtail? Like tail from the ox animal? Or is that just like a metaphor for something else? Yup. Alright. It's like exactly what it says on the tin right there. I bet it's like pretty good though. You know, dishes usually, if they're still around, they're usually around for a good reason. Either they're good or they're memorable. Sometimes it's both. Alright, just like that, another first place finish in the books. We've hit level 30 as well, so that's pretty cool. Oxtail, carrots, and it's thick like a gravy. Gotta admit, that sounds similar to like a dish that my parents also made. It's kind of like a soup with beef and carrots, although I guess the soup stock isn't as thick, but kind of like that because, you know, the mix had a lot of meat in it, but also had vegetables, so you got like 2 food groups down that way. That was pretty cool. Alright, here it is, the finale, the showdown. Disruptor. That's how you know this team is in the modern age, because they got that sort of app-like name going there. I guess if they really wanted to go like full app, they would take out the I and the U as well, so it'd be like Disruptor. Man, it's like 3 edgy, 5 me, this team. Any leftovers, you can do a nice vegetable soup or something. Yeah, I can see that. I think that's what like people say about the people of old, is that they always tend to utilize like every part of you know, the things they're using. So like with the animals, they obviously use the skin to make clothes, and then the meat would be for food, and the bones would kind of be used for various things, like soup stock and things like that. But
Welcome everybody to today's event. Kristen, what are we in for today?
yeah, some folks back in the day, pretty freaking resourceful as they might have to be.
All right, we'll get back to that shortly because it's time to get started. There they go.
Honestly, I think that's like a thing I might need to do more, is just like try to maybe stack my meal so that I can use like a variety. I can use like a certain batch of ingredients for like multiple meals. So, like say if I were to get celery, I could use that to make chicken soup, and then maybe some leftovers for ants on the log, and then if there's any leftover after that, I could just make a veggie platter. Just like things like that. Just try to be efficient with the food you pick up. Oh man. Ooh, okay, yeah, I'm gonna rewind that. Maybe I'll just ease up here. Ease up on the throttle. There we go. Not clean still, but certainly a lot better than what it was before. I like how I'm like not seeing anyone in this time attack event. It's like the track is so long that, or they've staggered us well enough that it really is just a pure time attack event. Don't have to worry about other cars on the track, just you do you. Whereas I find some forgotten thing at the back of the cupboard, like a potato that's growing potatoes, and grapes that you can get tipsy by looking at them. Oh man. Oh boy. Yeah, I don't think I've ever reached the point where I've, like, you know, forgotten about ingredients to that degree, although I've definitely seen other people who've forgotten stuff like that. I think very recently there was, like, someone on Twitter who was like, oh man, there was this lunch I forgot about in the car, and then they showed it, and it was like this rather crazy image of this thing. It was just it looked like it was like had mushrooms growing out of it. I don't know, I didn't want to look at it for a long time because it was kind of freaking me out. But yeah, actually reminds me of my cupboard. I have a bag of brown sugar. I picked up the brown sugar a long time ago because I wanted to make like Franks and beans, and the recipe I got actually asked for like a little bit of brown sugar. But at some point, I probably need to look up like a recipe for something like cookies that uses brown sugar, so I can just use the rest of that bag. Been there before in my first flat. It's the kind of thing, it's like, oh no. Or you know what? No, actually there was one time I did actually straight up like forgot. And the worst part, it was actually foods my parents like gave to me to bring back to my place. Because one of the things they got me was like a bag of lettuce, and then I brought everything else in, and thought nothing of it until the next time I opened up my trunk. Several months later, I happened to spot this bag, and of course I remembered, oh, right, I got that bag of lettuce like a while ago, and you know, several months later, that lettuce is no good. Tossed that thing right out. I didn't even attempt to look at it or open it. I was just like, nope, pitch it right in the dumpster. Like, yeah, this thing obviously no good, not anymore. An evil yogurt lurking in the back that has its own ecosystem. Oh man, don't even. Ooh. That's always like one of the gags in anime, right? Someone's just like, oh man, I'm just gonna shuffle through this fridge. Hey, what's this? What's in this container? Then they open the lid and they just see like a whole pixelated mess because, you know, the actual thing that's in that container is so horrifying. They don't dare show it unpixelated on camera. Alright, well, just like that. Tuners are done. First place, we got the trophy in every event. Now we're moving on to GT. We're starting with Group 2 Super Sprint, a one-round race. Oh, and I have the Grid Edition. Right, this is the advantage of having a complete edition. I don't have to shell out 60,000 credits of my own money. Man, that would put such a dent in my current finances. Could you imagine taking 60,000 credits out of my current stash of 9 million to pick up a car? Woo! Good thing I don't have to do that, right? Ooh, thank goodness. Alright, we're going in here. We're going to Castilloville in Havana for 4 laps. I'm eager to see how these GT cars operate in grid. Had something similar yesterday. The smell that came out of the potato bag when I opened it gave me the Gips OMG. The smell was so foul. It was a rotten potato at the bottom. Oh, jeez. Yeah, when you get like not just the spoiled food, but you get like the spoiled fruits and vegetables, that somehow makes it worse, right? Because like, man, it's like that kind of food. You could have enjoyed it, right? You could have, granted, you could enjoy all foods, but I don't know. For some reason, spoiled fruits and vegetables just hits different for me. I guess it's mostly because, yeah, I totally would have enjoyed that if I still had it fresh. Or, you know, you might have been able to do something useful with it. You could have like cooked it into a dish or something like that. But yeah, all you can do now is just put it in the trash and resolve to do better next time. Yeah, on that note, I have like a bag of tangerines in my fridge. I know I bought that a couple of days ago. I should probably like eat some. I've already eaten a few, but I should probably speed up eating it because, you know, fruit. It's fresh fruit, so obviously it's got a much sooner expiration date than other food might have. I was like, why is this bag wet? I open it and hit by that smell. Oh, yeah. It's like decomposing right before your very eyes. Yeah, the bag of lettuce I found was kind of like that too. I was like, oh boy. Why does it look so mushy? That's why. Man, this is only one round. I mean, I know it's like the start of a new series, so they're gonna ease me into it as they always do.
Hello, and thank you for joining us here at today's Grid World Series event. Okay, sorry, we are about to get started.
You know, I'm kind of like a little bummed that they didn't change the announcers for each like sorts of series. Like, it would have been kind of cool. You know, they had like different people commentating for the GT and the tuner and the stock and so on and so forth. Although that might have been more work than it was worth. Wow, I heard that announcer. I do like how they make it sound like, you know, what you might hear if you're like out there in the streets, right? Hearing that announcer say, wow, someone's a little eager there on the streets, that sounds like something you would hear in on the streets. Never heard of putting tangerines in the fridge. They're an ambient fruit for room temperature. Oh, are they? I always kind of defaulted to sticking them in the fridge. I don't know. I guess it's because in my head, fridge is like the thing that helps keep food fresh for longer. Of course, that's not a universal case, right? There are some foods that are able to persist for long times outside of refrigerators, but yeah.
Good start. Hold the lead.
That's probably something I need to look up. It's just like, yeah, what kinds of foods are okay for putting outside. I learned a lot about fruit and vegetables when I worked in the supermarket. You know what? Yeah, I can absolutely see that. Considering they are technically like the freshest items you have in the supermarket, you probably want to have you want to know the ways to, you know, preserve them for as long as you can. So I know all about their tricks there too, like how they have the misters there. It's not really there to keep the vegetables fresh, it's there to just make them look fresh, right? It doesn't actually do anything. It's just an appearance thing. Yeah, that's like a common thing reports will talk about. Where it's like, things you didn't know about the supermarket. The misters, they're there just for show. That one will inevitably show up on the list if someone were to talk about supermarket secrets. I think the other one I see semi-frequently, it's like, yeah, if you see a deal that's like two for $4, you don't have to always buy two, right? You can buy one, and you'll still get the discounted price, which would obviously be like, you know, $2. That is something I have taken advantage of. In fact, I think it's like, you know, unless they say explicitly otherwise, you can always just like buy fewer than what they say they specify in like the price, and then you'll still get like the discounted rate. I am curious though, what other like secret techniques about fruits and vegetables do they like teach you about in the supermarket? Don't buy a bagged salad if the box top is all puffed up like it's gonna burst. Oh yeah, I can see the science behind that, because you know, food that's kind of like decomposing emits gases and stuff, and inside a sealed bag, it's all gonna build up. So if you see the bag is like puffed up, that means there's a huge concentration of gas in there. It's like the same advice they gave for like canned food. If you see the canned food is kind of bloated, probably don't pick it up, because that means the food inside is, you know, spoiled some way or another. It's just converting itself into gas, and the gas has nowhere to go. That's why the can is bulging out. Oh, and of course, the advice about safety seals, like, you know, always check to make sure the seal's intact, because if it's not, then don't get that food. Maybe tell a store employee about it. Hope they dispose of it properly. Apart from the different varieties of stuff, most fruit apart from citrus is better chilled. Oh yeah. Okay, so it's citrus food that is okay out in the open. Well, I guess that's why you see like those displays that are, you know, if someone has like some sort of table centerpiece and it's like fruit themed, and you'll see like oranges, lemons, and limes and other citrus fruit. But yeah, when it comes to like other fruits like apples or strawberries or blueberries or raspberries or whatever I happen to pick up from the supermarket that week, I'll put that in the fridge for sure. Also, like one of the things I do is, and I know I don't have to do it, but I do it anyway for my own personal peace of mind, is that I put the bread in the fridge. Right, I know, like, if you eat the bread's like one of those things that's usually fine to keep out if you're gonna go through the whole loaf quickly, but there was, like, one apartment I used to stay at that had, like, a pretty severe mouse problem, and the one time I did leave a loaf of bread out, they just, like, fucking ate the entire thing. I remember distinctly, because I remember like picking up the bag and wondering why it was so light, and I looked inside and they like ate the entire inside of the bread. They left a crust and there's nothing left. So yeah, I always, from that point onward, I always put my bread in the fridge, because in my mind that keeps it safe from any sorts of vermin that might want to have a go at it. You're not gonna go inside the fridge and eat bread, right? Right? The fridges tend to be sealed up well enough that vermin don't get inside it. So, yeah, that's why I do that. Bread has such a terrible shelf life. Oh, man, does it? Yeah, I usually don't get more than, like, 2 loaves at a time. And even that, you know, I have to diligently go through the loaves if I want to eat them in a timely manner. But yeah, it's all that to say, I put bread in the fridge, and I know it's a me thing. It's completely a me thing. Once I've opened it, I put a closed peg on it and put it in my bread bin. That's a good way of doing it. I think I just like
Welcome to today's event, and this is gonna be a good one.
also squeezing the air out of it before storing it can help. You know what? Yeah, I can see that. The way I do it, I always like reuse those, either the plastic clips or the twist ties that tend to come with like bread bags. I just usually put that back on. Works well enough. Yeah, I can see how like a closed peg would help seal it up better. Even a chip clip. Oh yeah. Any sorts of yeah, anything of that sort. Actually, I have like a pretty cool chip clip that I got for Christmas from one of my siblings a while ago. It's shaped like the Power Glove from the SNES, or is it the NES? You know, that, remember that ill-fated peripheral? Became a whole ass meme because that one movie featured it, and it had a lot of memes attached to that. It's so bad. And by bad, I mean rad, because that's how they used the word bad back in the day. But yeah, I like using that particular chip clip a lot. I do indeed. Yeah. The old Power Glove. It's like back then they had the ambition, they had the dream. Fortunately, they didn't have quite the technology needed to realize that sorts of dream and make it one-to-one with reality. Bad, but not as bad as the TV boy. Yeah, it's like modern days now. We finally getting to the point where we get that sorts of futuristic technology that we would only see in movies and shows and the like, but fortunately, like a bit more worldly now. It's like, yeah, that kind of stuff doesn't quite work out in real life as well as one would hope. Yeah, did you see recently, I think, was it Apple came out with those augmented reality goggles? I remember, because like a bunch of late night shows were bringing it up. Like how you could pay $3,500 to get these ski goggle like device, and from the looks of it, it actually functions, but man, the kind of thing that like looks so much cooler in the movie, because they're like showing videos of people using it in real life, and unfortunately did not look as cool. Right, it's like a guy on the subway just using those goggles, and it was out of place. Some guy at a basketball game was using them, looked kind of out of place. And then some guy like walking across the street was using them. Kind of look funky. And I don't know. There's a certain amount of courage it must have to take this like $3,500 device and then take it out in public. I don't know. It feels like that would just like paint a massive target on my back. I'm just basically going, hey, I totally want to get beaten up and having this thing just taken right off of me. Imagine the only thing stopping most people is the fact that they would totally know, right? Anyone who just like runs up to tries to sucker punch you to steal your stuff, they would totally not get away with it. That'd probably be the primary thing. Not quite there yet, eh? Nope, not quite there. Honestly, if I did get something like that, it would be something I would only enjoy in private, right? Because I feel like just enough interference in public activities that I wouldn't want to do it, right? I'd much rather just be fully focused on whatever I have to do in real life. Proves that people have more money than sense. Yeah. That has been a fact since time immemorial. Right, people kind of want to be on the cutting edge. They want to be the first person to have this cool new device so they can, like, flex it to their friends or people online or whatever. It's like, hey, I got this thing first and I get to play with it first. Look at how cool it is and all the money I spent on it. Insert flex emote here. Yeah, keeping up with the Joneses and all that. Yeah, just like a greater desire of some people to just like keep up with the trends. Right, not just tech, but also with fashion too. You see that a lot, right? It's like news reports saying what kinds of styles are in for that season, and you'll see like people out there with that kind of style. Yeah, not just that, but maybe like, you know, certain foods that might be popular, the kind of trendy food at the moment, or any other sorts of lifestyle kind of thing, whether it be like diets or exercise or whatever else. Yeah, it's showing off. Look at me. Look at what I have, and you don't. Don't you wish you had it like I do? Look at how much cooler I am for it. I know kids are like also susceptible to that. It's something my older brother talks about a lot when we're together. He's like, yeah, so your nephew is like, man, he was talking about this other thing that he saw on TV and he really, really wanted it, and I had to tell him, no, we can't afford it, or maybe you want something else instead. But yeah. Seems to be a lot, at least with my nephews. It's like a any sorts of game series that is popular on YouTube at the moment. He'll usually get into. So he's gotten into things like Bendy and of course Minecraft and Roblox and all sorts of games like that. Even some of the ones that I personally wouldn't touch, like Baldi's Basics in Math or something like that. Yeah. Yeah, nephew's somewhat of a fan of more macabre type of games. It's like you see toddlers kitted out head-to-toe in designer logos. Oh, man. That always makes me cringe. I was like, man, that kid doesn't know any better. Don't make him some little trophy to show off. Jeez. Or at the very least, if you're going to give them designer clothes, at least let them have something funny to say on the front. I guess that's just a personal thing, though. I like funny things. If I usually wear a t-shirt, it's like something funny is on it. Or, you know, if I give someone a greeting card, it's probably something funny in it. A walking billboard. Now, for the longest time, my parents were vehemently against the idea of me, like, ever wearing branded clothing. And I'm not talking about just, like, clothing brands. It was, like, anything showing any sorts of logo at all. They would be absolutely against it. And, yeah, their reasoning was basically, man, why are we giving them free advertising? No, don't wear, you know, whatever branded shirts you want. That's just free advertising. Man, you want to give them advertising, you better pay you for it. And I'm like, bro, it's just a shirt. I like the product, and, you know, it's not so much of a big deal that we have to rebel against it. I don't know. Like, I guess as an adult, I can perhaps see the reason why people would want to not do that, because it does feel like you're just like being a mouthpiece. But I don't know, if there is stuff that I like, maybe I do want to rep it, and that should be fine, right? I don't know, it's not like I'm going out there, driving across the country, hawking the products and just giving them away, right? I'm not going to that degree. I'm just like, yeah, I don't know, I like this thing enough that I want to have a pencil case with the logo on it. That's fine, right? I don't know, thankfully they've kind of dropped the matter. Right. They don't say anything anymore if I decide, hey, I'm gonna wear a Reese's t-shirt today. They don't say anything about it anymore. Only one shirt I was ever banned from owning, and looking back, I'm thankful. Yeah, sometimes it's like that, right? Sometimes you look back and you're like, you know what? They had a good reason. I get it. It's like kind of the thing, though. It's like for every event, you can look back and go, okay, maybe they had a point there. You know, like for some people, they have like other moments they look back on, like, yeah, no, I still don't get it, and it doesn't make any sense. And other people have told me that makes no sense. I feel like that happens to me a lot. I didn't like the idea of possibly being arrested for wearing it. You know, I had like a similar event too. I remember there was a shirt I kinda sorta might have been interested in back in the day, but then, you know, knowing what I do know now, I realized, oh wow, no, actually that's like an offensive shirt. Like, not even potentially offensive to certain people, but no, that's just, no, it's straight up offensive. So I'm glad I didn't really, like, you know, get that shirt, because woo-wee, I would have like just burned it, right? I would have tossed it away as soon as I could. No, knowing what I know now, like, nope. But yeah, times like those can at least appreciate having someone else there to kind of rein you in. Someone else to go, hey, yeah, maybe that's not the best idea, right? It's good. It's good to have a muse, right? Or at least someone there in person to either guide you towards a particular decision. You know, they might not be perfect about it, but it's always good to have a second opinion. Everything else was all good, just that one shirt. Oh, that's good. That's good. But yeah.
Last lap, so hold the lead through to the end now.
That's usually just a lesson in making sure you know, at the very least, yeah, know what your shirt, know the kind of message the shirt is trying to convey, right? Know what everything on it means, so that way you're not accidentally doing something that you shouldn't be doing. Or people might think you're repping something that you shouldn't be repping. Ooh, that does remind me of a story, right? This is like maybe somewhat related, but someone, you know, they went to an Asian restaurant and they got their menu and they saw like a particular set of characters they thought was like especially beautiful. It was so beautiful that they decided that they had to weave that into a sweater. So they went and made a sweater with those characters on it, and they were like wearing it proudly and everything. And then one day, one of their friends kind of asked them, "So, do you know what those characters on your sweater mean?" And they're like, "No. What does it mean?" And then their friend told them, "It means menu." Yeah. Yeah, a particular set of characters they thought was like so beautiful, actually meant menu. Which I guess, like, you know, is the lesson there. Like, the lesson is with the shirts. It's just make sure make sure you understand completely what you're putting on the clothes you're wearing, so that way you don't end up embarrassing yourself later. Oh my, yeah. Cautionary tale. Thankfully, you know, consequences there is just a good laugh. And now they have a funny sweater. Now, at least, I guess. I guess it's similar to another joke where someone will, like, go to, like, a foreign restaurant. You know, they go read the menu, waiter comes out, "Hey, what are you gonna have?" And then the person goes, "Yeah, I'll have this." And then, you know, the waiter will try to tell them as politely as they can, you know, "I'm sorry, but that's actually means menu in English." How often have you seen folk get tats with Chinese or Japanese characters and they don't know the meaning? Oh man, I've heard quite a few stories about that, and yeah, I can imagine, you know, much more expensive mistake, because, you know, that's gonna take some time and effort and resources to fix. Or, you know, you could just keep it and have a funny story to have afterwards. Either way, it's not like a sweater where you can, at the very least, you have a funny sweater and you don't have to, you can either stow it or just have like a funny story to go with it. I guess the reverse is true too. It's funny when you like see an anime, you see like a character wearing a shirt with like English words on it, and like someone who knows English knows, yeah, that those combination of words doesn't quite go together well, but to them it's like the coolest combination of words ever. So that's why it looks like that. And like, I guess everyone has that everywhere, right? Someone just has like this foreign language, particular phrase or characters or words or whatever that just looks cool to them, but to a native speaker realizes it's like, no, that makes no sense at all. Or that's actually not as cool as you think it is. Oh, lap time's like a minute. Man, grid races are wild. Sometimes they might take 8 minutes to complete, sometimes 5. I guess one thing I can give this one is that they certainly don't go as long as Forza does. But yeah, more and more. I've seen like a lot more of my friends, a lot more of my siblings actually talk about getting tattoos. Like I know at least one cousin of mine who's gotten a ton of tattoos. And of course, they all look great. And I think one of my siblings also mentioned getting tattoos. I think so far he's gotten like a few small ones, but he said he's like considering getting some bigger tattoos. And I don't know. He's like he's workshopping what kind of design he wants, but hasn't quite settled in on one. But I'm pretty sure it'll be cool no matter what.
I'll ask your teammate to push for a higher position. Okay, push confirmed.
Push confirmed. And they got up to 11th. I don't know if I should just like press the up button a few times. Just press up a few times at an opportune position so they can get a better standing and improve the team standings, as it were. Aw, jeez. I knew I already screwed that up. We'll dial that back a whole lot. Oh, I'm guessing that kind of calls on cooldown.
Great first lap, you're leading the race.
If it's done right, you don't mind pay. Indeed. So I imagine the process has to be pretty involved, given that, you know, tattoos are a very, very, well, at least a much more permanent deal. I'm sure a lot of back and forth is involved to make sure that the art is right and the positioning is right, and you know, the colors and everything are right. I'm sure a lot of work goes into that process. And like with like most commissioned artworks, I'm sure there's like a payment process for it too. Like some might require a payment up front, and I know some others do installments. Like you can pay half now and half when it's all done.
Alright, listen, you've just gone past the halfway stage of the race. Understood? I'll ask them to push. Okay, they're starting to attack.
The bag my custom mouse mat came in, can't English. It's like a bunch of random words thrown together. Ah. Yeah, a couple of products I happened to order online were like that. They'll have like the instruction manuals, you read them and you're like, yeah, you know what, you can kind of see, you know, what the intent of the sentence is, but you know, grammatically it isn't quite there. Yeah, I read plenty of instruction manuals that were like that. Thankfully, whatever I usually get that has the instruction manuals were simple enough that I can kind of intuit what I needed to do. But I imagine it's like pretty frustrating if you can't figure that out. I guess I want to ask a question. Like, compared to, say, IKEA building instructions, would they be more or less incomprehensible? I guess at least with like IKEA products, most of the time you'll have like some sort of visual guide. Even if it is confusing, at least you might have some idea of how it might come together. Man, I've been playing this game for so long, I'm starting to recognize that sort of musical transition that indicates you're either going on to the next race or you're like maybe heading towards the end. We're off to Brands Hatch GP circuit. 3 laps.
And we're heading into the final round now, where it'll all be decided. Kristen, tell me what...
We're driving in the rain, and this one's like a full-on rain too. Ooh, let's see if I can read this. This product overseas, well received by gamers, mouse mapping, division, office, and other white collar. Find comfort, permeability, very good. Yeah, that's see that. Yeah, it's that kind of paragraph where, you know, you parse it and you can see you can figure out what they're saying there, but it's like, like there's you know, a couple of mistakes, but at the very least you can kind of make out what the overall message is going for there. I don't know. I guess it's like it was mostly because I spent a lot of time on forums, but I'm usually a lot more patient because, you know, the forums at least I go to, a lot of members weren't native English speakers, right? They come from all places in all corners of the world, so my policy usually was, you know what, if I can read the post, can at least, like, you know, get the general idea of what they're saying, then that's usually good enough. There are definitely instances where someone did come on and, you know, you read the post and they're like, sorry, could you try to rephrase that or maybe clarify, because I have no idea what they're saying. But even then, it's like rarely a matter of location. It's usually more of a matter of age, because, you know, it's not necessarily a lack of understanding of the English language, more of a lack of understanding of you know, what topics go where and what sorts of posts you can make in which places. Seen some folks in Twitch chats a bit like that. Guess the difference with live chat is, well, it's live. You have a person reacting to it live, so there is some certain measures they take in there make more sense than in others. Like, I know I see it like frequently in at least the streams I go to, where they'll usually ask people to keep chat in English, and it's only for the sake of, like, you know, making things easy for the mods to kind of parse. Because there are some people who have done things where they try to, put offensive statements in different languages, and at the very least having just like a, hey, keep English only kind of rule, at least allows it gives the mods an easier time, right? They don't have to put the line into like a translator or anything like that. I know some will use a translator and stuff. Oh, I have seen some of that too. Like certain streamers will have sort of a live translator. They have like someone who will put in translated lines live while they speak their native language, and that's pretty cool. And, some of them are just like straight up bilingual, so they can say their one sentence in English and then speak it in another language like right after. That's pretty cool too. I guess my chat policy would be like something similar, where English is like probably most preferable, but I don't need like, perfect grammatically correct English, as long as it's understandable. If someone comes in, maybe doesn't have like the best grasp of grammar, or they're not a native speaker, but they still can chat in a manner that, you can understand what they're saying. That's good enough, right? That's usually good enough. That being said, it does annoy me a little bit, even though maybe it shouldn't. You get the gist of things. Yeah, exactly, right? As long as I get the gist of things. But yeah, it does. I do have a slight pet peeve when it comes to grammar, but only for like people who ought to like know better. Like I think the one that always gets my goat is when people like type out "no one" as one word. I don't even know why that even ever became a thing, because from when I was growing up, "no one" was always 2 words, or at the very least it was hyphenated. I know some places "no one" is hyphenated. That's fine, but it's not. There is some manner of punctuation or character in between "no" and "one." It is not just like mashed together in a 5-letter sequence. It's like either that or the homonyms that seem to get mixed up all the time, right? Like your, or there, or even two and 2. Like when seeing someone type out Y-O-U-R when they meant Y-O-U''RE or vice versa, it's like, sheesh. Or even better, it's like these tend to be like the sorts of images you see in like whatever pages might collect them. Oh, it's like when someone tries to spell out a word, but they spell it so wrong that you're like confused for a moment, and then you kind of try to like phonetically pronounce it out, and you realize, oh wait, did you mean like this other word? And like, oh boy. Although I guess that one's more understandable, because it tend to be words that you don't like, people don't normally use, so it's like, alright, you know what, sure. But seeing people try to like, phonetically type their way through a word and maybe not quite getting there, it's like, oof. Surprising how many get confused by them. Yeah! It's like weird, because, the people I see mix them up would have definitely learned it in school. Or, oh, no. I just remembered. The one that absolutely, like, man, makes me scratch my head. When people type out could of, would of, should of, right? They type out COULD space OF. for some reason, instead of, could have, would have, should have, COULD apostrophe VE, which is how you actually spell it. I don't know why the former somehow stuck with them. It's like especially when you understand the etymology. Is that the right word? You understand why that word is the way it is, because it's a contraction of could, would, should, have. Right? You're taking out some letters, so that's why there's an apostrophe VE. But I guess that's like the whole phonetics problem kind of coming in there, right? You say could have really quickly, and I guess it sounds like could of, and people think that's actually the actual words that you use, but it's not. All right, hey, Group 1 cars. Oh, and this is also Grid Edition. It is saving us substantially more money though, so I guess we'll there is that. To be honest, I could probably just buy a lot of these cars now. I don't even need to save up that much anymore. One of my irritants is when folks spell color when it's color, laser, and laser. Okay, that's like a... Yeah. Oh, you know what? Yeah, makes sense.
Hey, everybody, you've been making a lot of noise out there. But can you make some noise once more for Kristen?
Yeah, if you spell it one way in your country, it's just try to spell it that way. Or neighbor and neighbor, yeah. Guessing other words like honor and of that sort. Also, I know other words that in the U.S. we spell with a Z, in the UK would spell with an S, like centralized or socialized or any sort of ized, I guess. It would be an S in the UK. Or defense and offense, I imagine it's like a C, but in the US we spell it with an S. Yeah, I get it. Sorts of spellings you gotta keep in mind there. I guess the one that always tends to be the most contention is aluminum, or at least that's how we pronounce it in the U.S. I know in the U.K., right, the spelling there would make it alu. Well, it's still aluminum, of course, but it's spelled differently. That's all. To be frank, I say aluminum. Ah, okay. Oh, we tend to say aluminium. All right. Yeah. That's okay. So the spelling does pan out there. Okay. To be honest, I'm not sure how that came about. Why did we remove the other letter? I guess that's always been the running joke. English actually doesn't make that much sense. All the rules that people say are rules about English have so many exceptions that they may as well not be rules. Tenses of verbs. There's a lot of exceptions to that, or the way plurals work. There are exceptions to plurals sometimes, and the endings of plurals differs for some reason or another. There's no consistency about that. You know, even I before E except after C also is not a rule that is consistently followed. Yeah, look at the O sound. 3 different ways of saying it. Yeah. Right, you could say O or ow or like ooh. Oh yeah, there was that other old joke I remember where you could spell fish with like a completely different combination of letters. You just like take them from like, you know, other words that pronounce that particular letter or sequence of letters differently, and you know, still say it as fish. It just looks really, really different. If I remember correctly, the combination of letters was like GHOTI, and I do not remember at all where they all come from, but yeah.
First lap, you're leading the race.
Ow, ooh, oof. Ah, okay. Yeah, it's like things like that, where you can't really eyeball a word if you've never seen it before, and pronounce it. At the very least, you know, if you're not native English speaker, it might be much harder to do, because it's not all consistent. Or, you know, if you like hear a word, then you might have a hard time spelling it. Like the place Loughborough that has 2 different sounds for it. Yeah, change its mind halfway through. But yeah, I think the spelling thing actually tripped me up as a kid. I don't know, I remember very vividly hearing nephew for the first time and thinking it was spelled like NFU, right? Nephew. Of course, that's not how you actually spell nephew, but you know, just comes back to that thought that you know, if you're not someone who's familiar with how words work, you might have a hard time putting things down. Which I guess if we were to bring it all the way back, that's why I, you know, even though grammar things do kind of irritate me, I try to be patient, right? Because the other person, maybe they're not the best at it, and to circle it all the way back, as long as you get the basic idea of what they're trying to say, then you know what, it's fine. It's all good. I remember the teacher saying, spell Wednesday how you'd say it. Wednesday. Yeah! You know what? I think I got that same advice too. Right? You just break it out into groups of 3 and Wednesday. And then that was like the way I remembered to spell together as well, because you can split it up like to get her, and then you can just like write it out that way. I like a good mnemonic. I like a good little trick to help you remember certain things. Like the one that I always like is what is it, stalactite and stalagmite. The way you remember which one comes from the ceiling and which one comes from the floor. It's like stalagmite is from the ground because there's a G in it, and then a stalactite is on the ceiling because there's a C in it. That's something someone taught me a long time ago and stuck with me because I don't know, I think it's a good way to kind of remember that kind of thing, right? Not the kind of knowledge you would need all the time, but it's a good one to remember if it ever gets brought up in casual conversation. Or like the way you'd remember order of operations of math. It's like ped mas or please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. That's at least how I was taught. Like or the planets, right? I guess it's different these days, but I think the way we were taught it was like, yeah, just remember the sentence. My very elegant mother served us 9 pizzas. So I guess you'd have to change it up now because Pluto isn't a planet anymore. Though, I imagine it's not too hard to find a food that starts with N. My very elegant mother served us, yeah, you can think of something there. You never know when it'll come up in a pub quiz. Yeah. If nothing else, right? You go to trivia night, or you're playing like a trivia game, and then they ask you, alright, what do you call the formation that comes out of the ceiling? And then, the mnemonic will pop into your head, and you're like, yeah. Nachos. Yeah, I don't know why I didn't think of that. Nachos, man, that's layup right there. I had nachos like so many times. Why did not come to mind to me? Yes. My very elegant mother served us nachos. Boom! Done! There, now you have a mnemonic for remembering the planets. The modern way to remember planets, anyway. You remember any other mnemonics? Any other ways to, like, remember things that you either taught or you just, like, read about? I think other than like order of operations, planets, and stalactite, stalagmite, I can't remember anything else off the top of my head. Maybe it'll come back to me, but like the notes on the stave, every good boy deserves food and the alternate spaces face. Huh. That's actually a pretty good one. Wish I knew that when I was doing music. One thing I really need to get back into is, like, making Twitch clips. So I already do a lot with, like, the shorts. Wouldn't be that hard to just, like, take that particular moment from the stream and just extract it out. I think I did that for, like, 4 moments. And those 4 moments have been those featured clips for a very long time. And that section could probably use a mix-up with, like, new clips. There's definitely some moments out there that I think would lend itself well to like a Twitch clip. I should probably get around to at least putting a few of them out there. At the very least, the one thing I've managed to do is greatly kind of accelerate the schedule, the rate at which I, save my stream VOD as a highlight.
And we're heading into the final round now, where it'll all be decided.
Man, I can't believe that exists still. It's like, sure, like the VOD on its own only stays for a little bit, like, you know, either 14 days or 60 days, depending on what sort of service you have, but anything that gets, like, saved as a highlight stays forever. It's wild. It's wild that they let you do that. You can just save, like, a whole ass VOD, and they'll let you keep it as a highlight. But I remember for the longest time, back when Twitch did just, like, keep VODs forever, was actually kind of nice, right? Back when Giant Bomb streamed on Twitch, you streamed, like, their various shows on Twitch, I would go back to, like, an old VOD and just, like, watch stuff there. It was nice. Until Twitch kind of implemented their VOD deletion policy. And then it was like, aw, man. Oh, man. Alright, well, that's why I have flashbacks. My high school teacher taught us that on day one. Yeah, it seems like it would be a useful thing to know if you're getting into...
Good start. Hold the lead.
Yeah. It's like a fun little thing to know. I guess on the flip side, I was never, like, the most musically inclined person. I think I only, like, I did one musical thing. I played the trumpet as... felt more like an obligation to me. Right? Like, after I left high school, I really didn't pursue any musical thing after that. Contrast to my siblings, who... one of them did go into, like, a performing arts major, and the other one did do, like, some, like, musical clubs as their part of their college education.
Final lap. Keep that lead intact.
That's good going, though. That's not an easy instrument. No, yeah, really freaking isn't. Like, holy crap. I mean, you gotta hit those high notes and, you know, you gotta sustain them. Right? Even if you do the proper techniques, you're still gonna be... At the very least, I was winded. I don't know. Maybe I still didn't do the techniques correctly, but... Man, that whole concert tended to be exhausting for me. Red cheeks and you run out of puff? Yeah. Although, the way I was taught, I was told, like, you know, if you're puffing your cheeks, you're doing it wrong. Right? You gotta keep those cheeks firm. I can see the reasoning behind it, at least, because, you know, it's like a lot of extra air you're unnecessarily, you know, circulating through your body. Right? By not puffing your cheeks, you kind of get more efficient airflow through the instrument. I'm guessing you need good core strength and breath support. 100%. Oh, you know what? You know what the other part of this was? I was actually also part of my marching band in high school, and man, playing a trumpet while sitting down is already challenging enough. Having to do that while also moving around. I don't know. I honestly don't know how I stuck with it. I really don't. Alright, off to the Night Cup. Now I'm trying to think of that, like, Bee Gees song Night Fever, except they sing Night Cup. Fortunately, it wouldn't quite work out, since, like, cup has 1 syllable and fever is 2 syllables. You'd have to, like, stretch that out. You have to, like, go cut up instead of, like, cup. Or elongate, like, Night Cup. But that would sound weird. Dedication and you don't give up. And yeah, I guess it's that. Guess at the very least it's kept to my posture. I anytime I walk out, I'm always like, you know, walking upright. I'm never slouched over, hunched over, or anything like that. I guess thanks to marching band, my movements tend to be a little snappy as well, because marching band tends to require you to have a little snap to your movements. That's how it looks cool and everything, right? Lucky! Yeah, I've noticed that. It's like if I like tend to be in a slouch state for too long, it kind of makes me really uncomfy. You know, so I'm always like readjusting myself whenever I'm sitting down. I guess it works for the better, because it means, like, you know, I'm not in one position for the longest time. But, you know, that carries its risks, so at the very least I'm, you know, not cramping anything up. I'm keeping circulation going and all that. Mine is terrible. Well, yeah. Hopefully it isn't too bad, or at the very least, you know, it's something that's manageable. I guess the fun part about VTubing is, even if I am just like constantly readjusting myself in my seat, it's not something that will show on the stream, because, hey, it's just my model here, and you know, my model here can stay mostly still for long periods of time. They will never cramp up. They will never get a bad posture thanks to it. I can mask my actions in real life, and my model will look all fine. I'm sat for 90% of my job. Ooh. Oh yeah, because you're a truck driver, so that makes sense. And man, that's like its own. That's its own, own sets of challenges too, I imagine. Because you have to be on top of your awareness game as well. Because you're driving like a big old vehicle, so you gotta know everything around you. You gotta know that you gotta, you know, start planning things ahead if you want to do things like turn or switch lanes or things like that. Gotta admit, my job also doesn't really require me to be mobile, but that's because my job is like an office job.
Okay, sorry. We are about to get started.
Alert, ready to move stuff with a pallet truck and all that. Strap up a trailer with ratchet straps. Yeah. A lot of other skills required as well. You need to be a pretty strong person. Or it's always like one of the common requirements you see in like a job listing. You like need to be able to lift a certain amount of weight. I guess I'm lucky in the sense that I've actually got like a coworker now. He was a pretty recent hire, but you know, he usually like come over and go, "Hey, I'm gonna go out somewhere. You want to come with?" And I'll usually go, "Yeah, sure," because yeah, it's just an excuse for me to kind of get up and just like walk around, right? Maybe take a break, get a refresher, clear my mind for a little bit, so that when I get back, I can be all ready to go. Strong I am not by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, as long as you're able to do enough for your position, that's what matters, right? Stretch the legs and stuff, yeah. Now, I feel like that's always a thing I read about. It's like someone who's sitting for long periods of time, they end up getting like messed up because of it. You know, just like stand up and all of a sudden they're like racked with like some sort of condition because, you know, something like got built up in their legs, and them standing up kind of like caused that sort of build up to spread through the rest of their body. And it's like, oh man. You know, it's like why you see people usually recommend, yeah, you know, take a couple stretching breaks like every hour or so. It's a godsend being able to stretch at rest stops and stuff. Oh yeah. I certainly know that much, because I go on some semi-frequent road trips, and yeah. Always take note of the rest stops along the way. Or at the very least, if there's not a rest stop, then we try to hit up like the nearest parking lot or the store we can stop by. End up with vacuous veins and stuff. Oh, so that's what... Ah, is that what they're called? But yeah, it's like one of the reasons why they say, yeah, don't sit for long periods of time. Or if you do sit for long periods of time, don't apply too much pressure to your legs. Again, it's like not too much of an issue for someone like me who tends to fidget a lot, but for other people who might not do that, it's usually good advice. There's blue veins that look like blue cheese. Ah, okay, okay. I do enjoy a good blue cheese. Probably not the segue, not the best segue, but I just had that thought come to mind. I don't know, I guess I felt like I needed to say it, so I did. Wow, I just realized that the laps here are like 2 minutes long. So even with like 3 laps, this race is a bit on the longer side on average.
Listen up. Hold the lead. Last lap.
Yeah, look at those fireworks go off. Like, gives you that feeling that, man, we're about to hit a climax here. flapping bumper makes it look like that Aston Martin is talking. Just muttering to itself. Ow, 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 ow. Man, this driver needs to drive better. Keep running up on the curb and the sidewalk and hitting them walls. Man, this blows. It's almost like a Muppet. Right, it's like the way the Muppet just has like one mouth motion, and that somehow lets it say a lot of words. Reminds me a lot of that. Ah, the good old days of Sesame Street. I actually remember watching a lot of Sesame Street when I was a kid. I don't know. General kid appeal show, and of course my parents were into it because it taught me things. Old man voiced like Doc Hudson from Cars. Was legendary. Huh, weird. They didn't have any confetti there. I wonder why. Very memorable segments on it, too. Indeed, indeed. Ooh, excuse me for a minute here. Sorry. Something got in my eye, and I decided, hey, maybe I'll just get some water as well. Always love that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 animation with the pinball. Oh my god. I know exactly what you're thinking of. I was like, you said that and immediately it just popped in my head. Alright, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Is that how it went? Might have been different. I might be remembering it differently, but yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about. Or Cookie Monster's Cookie song, where it goes, Cookie, C is for cookie, and that's good enough for me. Yep, classic indeed. Or the one where they would just like sing water, 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 while like smash cutting to a bunch of shots of rivers. Or the Rubber Ducky song, Ernie's Rubber Ducky song. Alright, Rubber Ducky, you're the one. Rubber Ducky, you're so fun. Another fun moment. Oh wait, no, that's I gotta actually go this way. I'll never forget that Kermit newsflash when Forgetful Jones was trying to sing the song Oklahoma. Oh man. That unfortunately, it's not a segment I remember. Although yeah, the Sesame Street puppets were made by the same company the Muppets were, so technically they're all kind of like have the shared creator. So it's pretty cool. So it's always fun when you see like the likes of, say, Elmo or Oscar the Grouch or Big Bird like appear on a late night show, and it's always amusing, right? Because they, you know, late night tends to be a bit more loose with things, but the characters like Elmo, Oscar, what have you, still same as ever. You can see the late night hosts always trying to dial it back, right? They're not going going full adult humor and everything, but yeah, I always get amused when that happens.
Okay, I'll try to get them to attack. Okay, push confirmed.
Oh, you know what's a show that I just like? Oh. That reminds me, on another night on SVU, a legend from Sesame Street showed up, Gordon. I was like, oh, that's Gordon! Oh man. Yeah, the part when you like recognize actors from their previous roles. That's always fun. Like, hey, I know you. I've seen you before. I think the one I reminded of recently was on Jimmy Kimmel Live when they actually brought back LeVar Burton, right? The guy who did Reading Rainbow. They brought him back for a segment. That was like pretty fun. I mean, the context of why they brought him in, maybe not, maybe sad, but it was nice seeing LeVar again. Still very much LeVar, but just a lot older. Man, that's always wild to me, seeing the people I grew up knowing and seeing them just like a whole lot older now. I think the one where it really hits me is like Bill Nye. I don't know, I remember seeing Bill Nye as a kid, and he was like really, goofy adult. But see him these days, and of course he's like much, much older. And, yes, of course, but still. It's always like a shock to the system. It's like the natural progression of people, but it's like, wow. I remember seeing you back in the day. But I imagine it's like not as much of a shock as, people who knew you as a kid, and then they see you now as an adult, and they're like, oh, wow. I remember you. I remember seeing you as a kid. Wow, you look so much more grown up now, right? You look so much more handsome, beautiful, or what have you, things like that. Yeah, you see some and it's like, wow, some haven't aged well. And then you have like the other side of the coin where you see them now and you're like, whoa, you have aged really well. Right? Either they look like they haven't aged in a day, or they've managed to age with like grace. That tends to be like the best case scenario. I think it like really hits when you see like them do those sorts of reunion shows. I swear Jim Parsons doesn't age. Oh, yeah,
Hold the lead through to the end now.
that's the one from Big Bang Theory, right? The guy who plays Sheldon.
Okay.
But yeah, there are some people who just don't look like they age at all, and it's kind of wild. But yeah, the reunion shows, like when you like see a reunion episode, right? You see like the old episodes where everyone's younger, and then you cut back to like the reunion, and you see all the actors, in the modern day, and they're much more considerably aged, and they're like, ooh, yeah, it has been a while, hasn't it? Oh man. Yeah, all right. Yeah, I imagine when they do like a Big Bang reunion show, I don't know, because they will. I feel like that will probably happen, given how much of an impact Big Bang Theory has had on the public space.
This is looking good. Very good for them. Can they hold on now?
But yeah, when they get back together to reminisce about the old times, that's gonna be an interesting watch. Saw a live stream like that last week. Some of the cast of Frasier. Niles looked so old and nearly bald. Yeah! Man, it's when they look like really different. Oh man. Sometimes it's like even wilder if they like say do like a revival series and they bring back like the old characters and you just see them like they're way older and like, oh man. It kind of hits you like a sack of bricks. I guess Indiana Jones would be like the biggest example of that, right? Remember like the old Indiana Jones films where Harrison Ford looks a little bit more spry, and then you see like the 4th and 5th movies, and yep, that's him as like super old man, and he definitely looks like super old man. Or I guess like him as Han Solo in the Star Wars sequel films. You know, it comes back as Han Solo. No, he's like really old Han Solo. You can tell. Poor Harrison is too old to be doing indie films now. Yeah. It's the kind of thing where it's like, yeah, sure. Right, I get it. I get the sentiment that, you know, only the one guy can do this particular character, but after a certain point, that starts becoming a liability, right? At a certain point, it's like, yeah, either, you know, for reasons related to health or other things, they might not be able to put in the same kind of performance they used to. If I remember correctly, that was like actually a point of contention with what is it, Lucille Ball? Right, because, yeah, because she was, like, famous for I Love Lucy, and, you know, that had, like, a bit of slapstick in it. And then when she got, like, a series much later, I forget what the title was, but she was doing, like, the similar physical stunts at, like, 70, and, you know, that maybe was a bit more worrying because, you know, old person doing physical slapstick might end up worse. So if I remember correctly, that show didn't last very long for that reason. I guess another one. I think they handled it all right. The one that comes to mind was the Hawaii Five-0 revival series they had on Paramount. I think was it Paramount or CBS? I forget. But yeah, the first episode, I remember they brought back like the guy who was the lead in the original Hawaii Five-0 series in the 70s. It was like a brief cameo. And I guess it was unfortunate the cameo was of him getting shot to make way for the new lead, but I don't know. It was kind of fun. Kind of cool seeing them bring him back, even if it was to just, like, kill him off. Makes you feel old when you see your childhood film heroes aging. Oh, ain't that the truth? Wasn't it like a couple years back, Steve, just like from Blue's Clues, just suddenly appeared? Like, you know, you remember Steve, like way back when Blue's Clues first aired? He was like a pretty young fella, right? and you see Steve in like, was it the 2000s? Is like, oh wow, yeah, he's definitely middle-aged adult now, like the rest of us probably are. I love the OG series from the 80s, Steve McGarrett and Dano. Yeah, if I remember correctly, like the revival series also like kept that sort of same naming. Not sure, to be honest. We had English presenters on ours. Ah, okay. Yeah, there was that period of time which CBS seemed to be like reviving every old show under the sun, like giving it like a modern sensibility. I guess the one that stuck out to me the most was MacGyver, because I remember old MacGyver was very well known for the lead just being able to craft whatever he needed in a very limited space and limited supplies, to the point where it like became a meme in itself. Or as YTMND would put it, a fad. Yeah, there was like a series of YTMND pages that would be like, hey MacGyver, I need to solve this extremely trivial problem, and then MacGyver would go, yes, alright. With these series of seemingly mundane, unrelated products, I will create a very complicated contraption that will solve your problem. And another person will be like, wow, thanks, MacGyver. Even Lethal Weapon got a series. Oh, yeah. Yeah, and if I remember correctly, Rush Hour also got like a very brief TV series. Old Mac was so cool, Richard Dean Anderson was like building montage you get on the A-Team. Yeah. You remember Uncyclopedia? It was like the parody encyclopedia in the vein of Wikipedia, except, everything was just like completely satirical and made up. I remember they had like a page on MacGyver, and one section they had was like, problems MacGyver has solved. And one specific entry that cracked me up absolutely was, the joke they had was MacGyver needed to open a ketchup packet. So he used, like, a paper clip, a rubber band, I don't know, like a key, several open packets of ketchup, and he managed to open that unopened packet of ketchup. And, of course, the joke there was, man, the guy already had, like, several open packets of ketchup. Why did he need to open up this packet of ketchup specifically? That always got me good. Final lap.
Final lap. Keep that lead intact. No, they said they can't push right now.
Man. My partner seems to very consistently get 12th place if I don't tell them to push. If they do push, then they may get up to like 10th. Even my beloved Knight Rider got a reboot. Oh yeah, I remember that. I don't know if that's still going or not, though. I imagine, since it has a car, it can't be very cheap to produce. awful program. Ah, that's a bummer. Like, if I remember correctly, even Quantum Leap got... Well, I guess it wouldn't be like, a reboot, more it was like an actual sequel series, because, the whole entire driving plot behind the sequel series was, like, trying to find, you know, the guy who never was able to return home. Can't hold a candle to the OG. Yeah, back in the day, you know, a computerized talking car was probably a lot more novel. But, you know, since these days we have cars that can do GPS, have phone functionality, and even do like a bunch of other app-related stuff. The idea of like a robot car, it's not as novel as it used to be. It's just a case of technology progressing, and the show becoming maybe not as... It became more dated as a result. I was such a fanboy as a kid. I can imagine. Like, man, who wouldn't want a talking robot car? Had all the merch. Ooh. Yeah, like as a kid, I remember liking James Bond a lot. And one of the things I liked about the movies was all the cars he got to drive, because, you know, they got to do cool things. They weren't just cars. Man, they had, like, machine guns, saw blades, missiles. They could transform into submarines and, you know, maybe airplanes as well. They had ejector seats and yeah, I was like, man, these are some really cool cars, right? They're like cars with cool things in them, so that makes them cool. I always liked that magnet watch Bond had. Oh yeah, gadget watches. That was the other cool thing they had, right? It's like, man, it's like not just a thing that tells the time. It has all these other cool things with it. Yeah, the magnet watch was like one of the cool functions, and then he had one that also shot lasers, and of course, the always ever cool thing. Or wrist, some of them served as radios too. Wristwatch communicator. I don't know. I'm not sure what it is about, like multifunctional watches that people like a lot. I don't know. I guess it's just like having all sorts of things you can do, like right in your arm. Of course, these days, with like the smart watches and stuff, you can actually do a lot of that kind of thing. Okay, so maybe you can't, like, you know, shoot darts or lasers or have a magnet that will let you magnetize things towards you, but you can do a lot of other things with it. For a secret agent, he was so flirty. Yeah, he certainly was. I mean, it's like why they termed the coin bond. I got that mixed up. I coined the term. That's what I meant. Not term the coin. Coined the term. That's why they coined the term Bond Girl, because, you know, always in each movie there was always, like, you know, a woman that he would tend to be, he would have to team up with for the duration of that movie. And of course, at like some point, they always like made out, right? Always like a steamy scene of them doing it somewhere.
And we're heading into the final round now, where it'll all be decided. Kristen, tell me. Okay, sorry, we are about to get started.
Yeah, that guy sure does get around. Like, man's done the deed in space. He's you know, yeah. He's like far above the Mile High Club. He's like probably several miles high club. You knew full well they'd end up in bed. Yep, they would. It's just like a thing you've come to expect. I think about it. In a sub, oh yeah. Guy gets it on everywhere. I guess it's like one of the appeals of James Bond. He was like such an escapist character. Guy got to like do cool things, save the world from these plots that the rest of the world would never know. They always tend to be like these super villains who have these big elaborate schemes. And of course your mix of cool gadgets that you get to use, and the locations that you get to visit, and the people you get to meet. It was like being able to go on a whirlwind tour on what was the agency? MI6? MI6's dime. Of course you were doing it for a purpose, so you couldn't just like goof around, but... Looking back, a lot of the plots are something Dr. Robotnik would come up with. Yeah. Certainly were like, this sorts of supervillain plots kind of thing where it's like, yes, I will get all these things together that will allow me to take over the world. Or maybe destroy the world. One way or another. Only he'd have a volcano that is really a hidden base. Ah, man. I know there are some people who really like the villains too, because, man, look at all the cool stuff they get to have, and in cool locations too. Like, who wouldn't want to have a secret base hidden in a lab, in a mountain somewhere, or a volcano, or like deep in the Arctic, or wherever you would set up a base, wherever you would want to set up your base. Some very memorable bad guys, indeed, yeah. Right? Not only do you get like a cool base, you get to have like a whole bunch of people at your command, and all the devices, all the coolest devices in the world, and, being able to strike fear into the hearts of the world, that kind of thing too. I mean, they're like, whole games based off of that idea. Like Dungeon Keepers, like the medieval take, and an Evil Genius is like your spy movie supervillain take on that. Man, I want to play Evil Genius. Maybe I'll like put that on the list for the future. I wonder if I have that game. I wonder if I can like get that even. I know I can get Evil Genius too, but I've heard like mixed reception to that, so. Henchmen, also known as bullet sponges. Yeah. You always had the one lead henchman that would be like the secondary antagonistic force of the film. Right? You'd be like the second to last boss. The one where if they were finally defeated, it'll be time for the final confrontation with the main villain. Boom, first place. What was like your most memorable henchman? I think mine would have to be I think Oddjob was his name. It's because he had that hat. A hat that was like seemed to be absolutely nuts, and the guy had a heck of an arm. Could take out anyone he wanted with that hat. Also a pretty potent weapon in the GoldenEye video game. You know, you select Oddjob. He always came with his hat no matter what the game mode was. You kind of got like a free insta-kill if you were skilled enough with that hat. Let's see. Jaws, Tihi, Dr. Kananga. Some memorable ones too. I remember Jaws as well, because he was really, really tall guy, and of course, called Jaws because he had a whole mouthful of metal teeth. Definitely struck fear in eyes of Kid Me. Alright, well, okay. So we're maybe not quite halfway through, but it's been 3.5 hours. I'm perhaps a little bushed, so you know what? We made some good progress, right? We completed the tuner series, and got our start in GT. It looks like we're about a third of the way through, so maybe we'll get further in it. I don't know if we'll be able to finish it, but we'll at least be able to get further in it. Yeah. The majority of these events are like 4 rounds, so that's up in the air. But we'll see. We'll see next week, right? Ripped out the side of that van out with his teeth. Yeah, one advantage of having metal teeth. Have a good night and rest. Yeah, you have a good night and you have a good rest as well. Or actually, no, it'll be morning for you, so you know. Anyways, you have a good day. Thanks for hanging out. But yeah, I think I will call it here. So yeah, thanks to everyone who came by, hung out, chatted, lurked, or even, you know, just spent a little time here. I appreciate each and every one of you. As I said at the top of the stream, this is going to be the last one for the week. No streams for the rest of the week because I have commitments this weekend. So I will be back next Wednesday. We'll continue grid right here. But yeah, I'll still be around on Twitter and don't be putting up stuff on YouTube, so don't worry, I won't be completely gone. But yeah, all right. Let's look for someone to raid, shall we? Of course, this is gonna be silent now, so before I do that, start up some music. Grid 2019 OST. So like not that much music in this game. So we're just gonna go back to, I guess, career menu. Yeah, we'll go with that and loop it. Oh man. One more thing I wanted to bring up. The next fest is like happening right now. Timing of it is perhaps a little unfortunate because I am busy this weekend, so maybe I won't like have I won't be able to like devote as much time to the demos as maybe I usually would, but I'll see if I can maybe like put out a couple of Twitter threads about demos I played and think are cool. Maybe not as many as there might be before, but you know, I like the next fests. It's like a quick preview of games that may or may not come in the future. Maybe there's like proof of concepts, but you know, I like to maybe give a little help, right? Even if my voice is a tiny one. I have gotten, like, you know, some of the devs, they do come by to like and maybe retweet what I put out there. So I was like, hey, you know what? At least, you know, they're getting noticed at least, even if maybe the impact isn't huge. It's something I like to do. Oh wait, did Suicide Squad come out? See, some people are playing Suicide Squad. It does not seem like the internet is most receptive to that game. I have to admit, it's not quite catching me either. I don't know, the fact that Rocksteady before made the Arkham series, which is like this really awesome stealth action series, and a very highly regarded Batman series, and this is their follow-up, like a third-person shooter with a bunch of characters who, you know, the whole entire shtick isn't guns, but yet they shoot guns in this game anyway, and it's a live service game on top of that. Just a lot of things going against it. It seems like the plot, right, the story elements to that too, really have people annoyed by it. Because it's like the Justice League's introduction to the Arkhamverse, and you're gonna kill them. So they don't even get to like shine, they just fucking die. And yeah, I can see why people would not be fans of that. Especially since the rumor before was that Rocksteady was doing a Superman game. Like, even that would have had more potential than what Suicide Squad is. I don't know, at least I would have been more interested in it. That's just me. I don't know. I was talking with some of my friends and they seem to be looking forward to it. I don't know. I think my third-person shooter fix is served well enough with Remnant 2. I got back into that. I need some way to stave off my desires for Grand Blue Fantasy Relink. Like, yeah, I might wait for that to go on sale. For it seems like public consensus is that it's a very, very good game. It's just not something I think I can justify to myself plunking down. I think it's $60. Yeah, I can't justify putting down $60 for it, even if the playtime is about, I think people said 20 hours if you want to get through the main story, even longer if you do post game. I would probably do post game, so I'll probably get good value out of it. But still, again, it's a personal price thing. It's me. It's me. It's not the game. it's like times like these. Makes me wish they didn't delist all the old Grid games. Because who's gonna be playing Grid? Who's gonna be playing a Grid game that isn't Grid Legends? I think that's the only Grid game that's up on sale. The other Grid game is gone. Gone. Okay. I think I might have found someone. Oh man. Keep forgetting. I should probably stop raids. Need to do that. Just go right to Stream Manager, stop raids. I'm about to wrap things up. Okay. Let's see if their raids are open. Alright, cool. Woohoo Lad is playing Death Must Die. You remember that? Now, Horde Survival is kind of like Diablo, and it seems like a bit of a Hades twist to it, too. Apparently, they're playing it as part of a subathon, so... Hey, let's say hi to them and give them a little support, shall we? Raid message. What should our raid message be? I don't know, I'm feeling lazy tonight, so it's gonna be like a super easy, super basic raid message. Alright, GT raid, there you go. If you're joining on the raid, hit them with a GT raid. Otherwise, have a good weekend, have a good rest of your week, have a good start to next week, and I'll see you next week for more Grid 2019. Yeah, take care.